This is your weekly support for the Genius Insights, Dr. Ariel Policano. We're going to do a series of cases. I really appreciate it. You can tune in every Monday at the same time. The registration is below if you're watching the recording. If you're new to the Genius, then we really warmly welcome you. Thanks for being here. You can join us every week. It's always free. It's our way to build community. So Angie, I know you're here, so send me your date of birth down in the chat area or shoot it to me by email. Candy is here. Candy was at our San Diego weekend. Candy, thanks so much for joining us in California. I really appreciate your presence. We're working on plans for Denver, Colorado at the end of June. So if you're in Arizona or one of those areas, we're working on a date for Denver, Colorado at the end of June. We've had a request. Karen, one of our wonderful users in Canada, has requested a case, so we've queued that one up, and we're going to work on that. And then Angie, you're next, so make sure you send me your date of birth. And then Deborah has asked that her 98-year young grandmother be worked on, so we can look at that as well. So Angie, be sure to send me your birth details. Okay, so we're going to get started with a case. I don't think we have the gal on live. So I guess Karen just confirmed that we don't have our person on live, or is she there with you? I've entered all of her details so that we can work on her. And I believe that she's dealing with diabetes, so we'll find out in just a moment. Let's see if we can get that up here. Okay, don't worry, we're getting started here. Yeah, I think we're dealing with diabetes and a few other issues. We'll take a look at all of that. And so here with you. Okay, perfect. All right, excellent. All right, my dear. So let's unmute you, Karen, and let's hear from our gal who's going to be worked on today. So let's go ahead and unmute you. And hello, how are you?
Oh, we're doing totally awesome. I'd love to thank you for doing this. And Taui's right here, and she's trying to avoid a gallstone doing cholecystectomy. So
Okay.
I'll introduce
Yeah.
Taui to Ariel, Dr. Policano.
Hi.
Hi, Tawi. Well, I'm going to ask you to record your voice in just a moment. What would you like us most to work on today?
I have a 1.5 centimeter gallstone that I'd like to dissolve into nothing.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and record your voice. And I'm going to cue you. I'm going to count down. And when I say go ahead, I want you to say your name. And then you will keep saying the vowels A, E, I, O, U over and over and over again, just those vowels over and over again. And then when the time stops after 15 seconds, I'll let you know. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to record you in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
My name is Taui. A-E-I-O-U. 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Perfect. Okay, that was absolutely perfect. Now, Tawi, when did the gallstones, as far as you know, when did this all start, or when did you become aware of it?
April 18th is when I went to the hospital with my first gallbladder attack.
Okay.
And they did an ultrasound and found that there was a 1.5 centimeter stone stuck towards, I guess, the neck of the common bile duct.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain had stopped by then when they did the ultrasound. So it took about, once I got 3 Tylenol and 2 Buscopan in me, the pain had stopped and went away. So they came back with the ultrasound results, and they said that I needed to go to the hospital, a different hospital, so I can get prepped for surgery the following morning. And I never went back.
That's so funny. Okay, well, if you can escape in your hospital gown and get away from them, sometimes you can consider yourself lucky. So, what happened after that time? Since that time when you were in pain, I assume that the pain subsided for some measure, for some period of time.
Yeah, so the pain, once it went away, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not in pain. I'm going to change absolutely everything. I stopped eating fried foods. I stopped my drinking. I stopped coffee. I switched to spring water per Karen's request.
Those
And
were, those are exactly the things that I would have asked of you anyway. So, you're really doing very, very smart things. Wonderful. And what happened then to your experience of the pain as you did those things?
well, I still haven't had um, pain. I'm avoiding it because my husband and our contingency plan is our hand might be forced if I have another attack. So I'm trying to heal it before that ever has a chance to happen.
Well, and when you say the measurement of the gallstones, that was at the time when you were in the hospital that they did the imaging. You don't know what the actual size is since then, right?
Right, since then, yeah. And then, well, when they first did it, they said there was mild inflammation, fatty liver, possible fatty pancreas, and then the size of the stone. And then I did a follow-up ultrasound through my doctor about 3 days later, and they said the inflammation went down, but the stone was still in the same spot. But they never said what size.
And one of the things I just want to add for what she's been doing, she's
Yeah, please, yeah.
a couple colonics. We've been doing oils, Young Living. She's got that. She's got her own biomats, and she's got probably more Young Living oils than I do right now. And again, you just did some enemas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal. She's been doing the yoni steams and made her own setup on our Facebook. You should see. She converted a commode chair, I think you found, and doing some yoni pearls. And her actual abdomen is soft, and she looks like she's probably taken off 5 pounds, which should have dissolved the stone by now. But she's made a phenomenal shift in a week. I really have to, commend her for what she's doing. And her mom, they're very inspirational here in the tribal communities for natural health.
Well, yeah, you're an inspiration to the people around you. Everything that you've done is important. Everything, you must keep up with what you're doing. It's vitally important. And you may want to add a castor oil pack, and Karen can show you how to do that. Very, very simple, non-invasive, but it's amazing what you've done. And you are an example of how gallstones is a lifestyle, 100% practically lifestyle issue.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when people help their gallbladder and liver to function better, then everything improves. Now, the stones are not set in stone. The stones can shrink. The stones can change.
Yeah.
The worst thing to do is to go by those doctors' recommendations if it's not life-threatening. So as long as it's not life-threatening, where it's not stuck in the duct, then you have plenty of time, as much time as you want to deal with this. And you've done everything to buy yourself more time. It's very likely if we looked at the stones today, or the stone today, would be quite different. The truth is that most people eating a Western diet have some degree of gallstones. They're just unaware of them, and they may the whole lifetime they may just go unnoticed.
Yeah.
If
Well,
a person
what
is
was it?
lucky.
9 months back from this
Hmm.
point, I had another ultrasound because I had gas, indigestion, bloating, and they found sludge in there, and they said, "Oh, no big deal, it's just sludge." But 9 months later, I have this size of a gallstone. Well, it was a big deal, and had I known then, I could have
Of
changed
course,
everything then.
of
But
course.
I was, being dumb in my diet. I was drinking, and we were going out to eat at Boston Pizza. We grabbed fast food. I'm stressed out. Like, all of that was not working for me, obviously.
Yeah, no, you've done a wonderful service to yourself.
Yeah, I've done a few castor oil packs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
you've done a few castor oil packs. That's really good. What were you going to say, Karen?
I was just reminding her about the castor oil that we had been doing that with the raindrop, because I teach raindrop as well with the castor oil. Kind of sits hand in hand. But
Oh, that's fantastic. And are you also doing some citrus of these citrus oils over the liver as well.
Yeah, I've taken a few capsules too of the essential oil.
Oh, and she got BioOxy and she got pH Happy Caps. So
Yeah.
she's on her way, like seriously, and doing spring water.
I'm doing as much as everything changed literally overnight for diet and all my things I've been doing. I'm like, I told Karen, I'm like, you want me to steam my what?
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And are you also using, now you've downloaded the trial, are you also using the Genius on a regular basis then?
Yeah, I use it once or twice a day for about half hour.
Sure. And have you made any discoveries or anything interesting that you've noticed as you've been doing the harmonizing?
I don't know, I'm pretty out of tune with most things.
Sure, sure, sure. Have you, Karen, noticed anything as she's been doing her balancing, any discoveries? I can tell you what I'm finding. I'm just curious what you guys have noticed.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed too, is that, you know, from the emotional part to, again, like I said, it's all lifestyle related.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we did mention about doing the liver gallbladder thing. There was some hesitancy because she was just really, you know, didn't want to go into another attack, which I get that
Mm-hmm.
psychologically. But, you know, that would be mine. I said, well, let's try this then as much non-invasive as we can for a couple of weeks. And I'm sure it won't be in there because they just want to take her in on the 11th. I said, oh, that's lots of time to get this down, and you'll notice a big change in a week. So one of the things too is that, you know, the gallstones came up and the whole, and the flush. You did do one?
Well, when I first found out,
Yeah.
I forgot, sorry, when I
Okay,
first
you
found
guys, it's going a little long, but I just have, sorry, I want to just, because we want to go through as many things as we can. I just want to see if you were discovering anything, but that's okay. Let's sort of, what's going on with the diabetes? Is the diabetes under control?
Well, I did notice my sugars getting kind of up there, and I was trying to slowly change my diet
When
prior
you say the sugar's getting up there, what numbers are we talking about?
10 or 11, but they've come down
211?
under 10 now.
110. Okay, and when's all right, that's great. So let me do this, you guys. Let me just get into the Genius because we got a bunch of people here who want to see the Genius in action. We'll come back and we'll talk to you guys again soon, okay?
Thanks.
All right, yeah, thanks for volunteering, and this is a great case to cover. Okay, good. All right, so I just want to mention some things. You know, I always remember that when I got the benefit of learning physiology, it was, you know, huge. We are getting ready to get our international certification of the biofeedback classes, and anatomy and physiology will be part of the prerequisite training. You'll probably go through just a different little class to get some of this under your, you know, get it under your belt, and then we'll refer back to this in the classes. But I want to explain that your liver is one of the largest organs in the body, if you look to the left side of the screen, and it takes up a big part of the abdominal area that sort of it's on that right side. If you go under your rib cage, you feel under your rib cage on the right side, that's all liver. Your liver does over 450 biochemical functions in the body, and it also helps with detoxification, which is something that many people have heard about. It does a detoxification. The more correct term is depuration, which means it makes toxins water soluble so that they're more safe to eliminate from the body, which they get then eliminated by the bowel and the kidneys. Also, the detoxification, a lot of those detoxified substances end up in the bile. So bile is something the liver is producing all the time. It's a substance that helps you to digest your fat. And when you eat a very fatty meal, a lot of bile needs to be dispersed or sent into your GI tract, your small intestine, the first part of your small intestine, the duodenum. So when the liver produces the bile, it goes through this little tube, and it actually goes up here into the gallbladder where it gets stored and concentrated. So your gallbladder is a concentrator of bile. When you drink alcohol, you're going to probably produce a lot of bile. You're detoxifying a lot so that that bile becomes very toxic as well. So now you store that toxic bile in the gallbladder. Part of it can get excreted if you eat a lot of fiber. So eating a lot of fiber after you've had alcohol can be very helpful. It helps to carry out the bile that is toxic. But many times people don't eat enough fiber and that bile becomes recycled and it gets stored in the gallbladder. That's why when people do coffee enema, they release the bile, they release a lot of toxic bile, and they feel significantly better. The coffee enema causes the gallbladder to contract, and it sort of forces it to spew out some of that bile, which gets released. So when you eat fatty foods, okay, the minute you eat a fatty food, you're causing that gallbladder to contract wildly and to release a lot of the bile. Part of the reason fatty food in general builds up the stones is the combination of fats that are in your diet may impair your ability to make healthy bile. So if you eat fatty foods, drink alcohol, eat a very heavy Western diet, the bile salts within here you don't have enough of the proper bile salts to make free-flowing bile. So when you eat lots of vegetables, when you drink green juices, when you drink carrot juice, when you eat a high vegetable and fruit diet, when you eat a plant-based diet, all of this bile flows more freely. So it does not build up that silt and the stones within the gallbladder. There also can be an emotional state that goes along with this. So being very angry, harboring a lot of resentments, all of those energetically are housed in that liver gallbladder system. When we read the texts of the naturopaths from the 20th century in the 30s, right before Better Living Through Chemistry, we read about the bilious nature of people when they're angry, resentful, sarcastic. This is a state of really building up a toxic gallbladder. So those things go together. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the case. The answer to gallstones is always that if it's not life-threatening, there's always more that you can do. So a gallbladder flush, even having a little bit of Epsom salt, because that opens up the bile ducts. Maybe a little mini flush where you're doing a lower amount of the oils, maybe not so much olive oil, and doing the essential oils, putting a lemon or citrus in either ingesting that in a capsule or actually applying that to the liver gallbladder. And of course, doing castor oil packs. Those are all really, really helpful. And you guys, everybody on here should be doing this as a wellness practice. When you see people as they go through life, so especially for women in menopausal years, the estrogen typically gets out of control, even though it's going down, it's high in comparison to progesterone. And any stress on the liver from diet or hormones can cause this inflammation of the liver and gallbladder. So working constantly on the liver is very, very important. In fact, sometimes when people have more of a belly or they seem to be more inflamed in their middle area, this is actually a fluid around the liver. So when she said looked like she sort of lost a lot of weight or lost that belly, that could be the inflammation around the liver, something we call ascites, sort of a functional ascites, is functional fluid. And so when you cleanse your liver, you can have the added benefit of, oh my gosh, it looks like my belly is going down. Now everyone on here will want to do a liver flush very, very, very soon. So this is a great case. So thanks very much to Tawi. So we've been gathering up some things in here as we were talking, and some of them especially were the hormones. There's a lot that needs to be corrected in the hormones. So it's vital that Tawi can continue to consume a plant-based diet as much as she can. We're seeing imbalances of the strongest estrogen, which is called estrone. There are three forms of estrogen: estrone, estradiol, which is known as E2, and E3, the weakest form, which is estriol, which we see out of balance here as well. So it's imperative that she gets that estrogen level in more balance, and a plant-based diet, the castor oil packs, the colonics can all help with that. then insulin is also still not optimized. We're going to harmonize it, but it is also vital. A rich Western diet causes diabetes. It's not sugar that is the express issue. It's the fats, the meat, the dairy. We must remove those in order to give insulin a fighting chance. When we remove those foods, we remove the blocks to the receptors of insulin and open the key and lock system to allow sugar to get inside the cells. So that will be very, very, it will help her to improve. She's already gone from 210 in her blood sugar to 110. It's immensely admirable, and she's done it without medications. Make no bones about it, you guys, the medications of the Western pharmaceutical world are extremely toxic. It could be an entire talk, but you do not want to be in a position where you have to take any type of insulin, which is going to make you gain weight, unfortunately, or a sulfonylurea, any of the they're glucophages, right? Any of the oral hypoglycemics, you don't want to have to take any of those. So try to use your plant-based system, working with me, working with your naturopath. It's important to get off of those foods. That's what's making people ill. We do see a bit likely thyroid imbalance, and when your estrogen is out of balance, your thyroid often is out of balance. Angiotensinogen, this is a kidney hormone. It's often related to eating too much salt. And then parathyroid hormone, this is sits on the back of the thyroid. If there's an autoimmune condition, we often see that parathyroid is out of balance. Glucagon is the opposite of insulin. So if there's an imbalance in insulin, which makes the blood sugar go down, you might see an imbalance in glucagon, which brings the blood sugar up. So we sort of always look at what do we see just in the main scan that catches our eye. In other words, what are the things that are, low or high? This tells us she has a high affinity for the essential oils, which is perfect. She has a whole collection of them, which is wonderful that she uses the Young Living. That's great. And we just see, what are the things that we sort of see in blue here? Okay, some neurotransmitters, brain EEG. So we may want to harmonize those. I'm not going to make a whole lot of this different brainwave thing. Although it's interesting, theta is really good when you're trying to correct self-sabotage. So theta. In fact, one thing you can do, Tawe, is you can bring this theta up into the quick zap and focus on it a little bit separately at a different point in the session, which we'll get to. I'm not sure what to make of the gamma. I'm not going to get into it for the moment. We can do anybody who has an eating disorder or has an alcohol addiction, working on the neurotransmitters is good. And we do see sort of a serotonin being out of balance. When your serotonin is out of balance, you may try to compensate for that with drugs or foods or anything like that. So just be aware of that. And that's something that often people are medicating. They're medicating their imbalances their neurotransmitter imbalances in order to correct their physiology. They're trying to correct their neurotransmitters with drugs in order to correct their brain physiology. We need to do other things, exercise, enjoying life, being out in nature in order to achieve that. So there are so many things that the pharmaceutical companies try to correct, you guys, which always has side effects and has a toxic signature, that can be corrected through diet and lifestyle and just living a life that's more in connection with the rhythms of nature. And biofeedback also helps to inspire that. From a body, mind, and spirit perspective, it's helping to remind us how to be healthy again. It's the best definition of biofeedback, is that biofeedback is helping us to remind our system how to be well. That's immensely important. We're not even playing like hugely powerful frequencies. These are really subtle frequencies. Well, let's see what weight release minerals brings us, just out of curiosity, since it came up at the very, very top. So boron, potassium as minerals are important. Vanadium and chromium are two of the top minerals for blood sugar regulation. Very, very interesting. Chromium and vanadium are two of the top minerals required for good blood sugar regulation. You could take these as supplements, but the best way to get them is to eat a plant-based diet of nuts, seeds, fruits and vegetables, and especially drink green juices. These green juices will bring those minerals. All right, so I just also wanted to, let's go ahead and look at blood sugar, some of the blood sugar panels, and then we want to go to our famous flower essences. So blood sugar assessment, a 9. Look how that sort of jumps out at us. Okay, blood sugar assessment, let's go ahead and grab that. So we've got insulin resistance, leptin resistant, and this is going to be a little bit of a challenge in trying to lose weight. But the more that you exercise, even walking, the more that you lift some weights, the more that you eat those plant-based foods, lots of green juices, etc., you know, all of the things that you're doing, the leptin will begin to correct itself. It has to do with having too much weight, too much estrogen, and this leptin makes us eat more than we really need. It causes a misfire in our hunger mechanism. So as you adopt those healthy lifestyles, it will improve. We can see blood sugar regulation. Homocysteine tells us that one thing you may want to look into are B vitamins. So natural sources of B complex vitamins. Now, lots of ferments can get that for you, kefirs, that can help. Even having some prebiotics like leek, onion, garlic can help. But also you may want to, this may really help, is just downright supplementing some good methyl B12, some good methylfolate. Metabolic syndrome happens before you get diabetes, and advanced glycation end products, these are what happen. This is what happens to the blood when we do not regulate blood sugar properly. So advanced glycation end products are also, the acronym for that is AGEs, or aging. So when you see wrinkles, gray hair, liver spots, and so forth, these are products of advanced glycation end products. So let's go back to some of the more metaphysical things that we look at. Let's actually look at the Bach flower essences, and we're going to take these into progressive insights. And you know what the aura looked like. There were some grays and darker places in the aura, which just can mean physical. It can mean physical stuff that the person's dealing with. It doesn't mean darkness by any stretch of the imagination. It just means that there are blockages, and we're trying to clear the blockages. That's what our harmonizing is for. So you guys, just to review, I do items that are in green. I often do them all the way up to 200. So you can do as many or as little of these as you want to. I just want to tell you again that the reason we include, sorry, a wide net in our main hold tray, we want to gather a very good diversity of items that we're going to take with us into Progressive Insights. In Progressive Insights, we'll let universal consciousness or the person's higher energy determine what are the things that that energy field most wants to focus on in this moment. So we'll get to that. And then I did want to just look at the solfeggios. One of the things that we did in the weekend class is we really got into talking a bit more about the solfeggios. And I would really recommend the mastery guide with all my heart. Get that mastery guide. Now, I did check it, Linda, so you can just put mastery guide into my website, awakentotalhealth.com, and it will bring up the mastery guide. You really want to get a deeper understanding of the solfeggios when you're doing your work. It's really, really important because it's going to explain a lot about the case. And like I said, our next classes coming up will be about these relationships, and I think you'll really, really like getting deeper into the connections and the relationships. So 174 is for pain reduction and enhancing a sense of comfort. This frequency gives your organs a sense of security, safety, and love. So imagine just giving a beautiful hug to that pancreas and that liver and that gallbladder. 852 is use this for awakening intuition and returning to spiritual order. This frequency is helpful for piercing through the illusions in your life. Use this frequency in order to open yourself to divine communication. 852 raises your awareness and allows you to return to spiritual order. It even allows the processes within your cells to transform to a much higher level of energetic functioning. Wonderful. And you know, this 466 is this 528 is always good, but she's not really resonating with this. She's already transforming. She's already doing miracles. This is one that's just not calling to her. It also tells us this isn't like a life-threatening state that she's in. She's actually moved herself into a more life-sustaining state. 396 is liberating guilt and fear. Liberating guilt and fear. Cleansing heavy, sorry, did I use 396, right? Okay, it's down here. So it cleansing heavy feelings of guilt, releasing subconscious obstacles. That's the self-sabotage that we saw in the theta, the being drawn to and training that theta frequency, which is, when you're going one way and your subconscious is going another way. You're sticking on your food plan and your subconscious is going to the refrigerator and taking all manner of things out of the refrigerator. So 963, this frequency enhances the experience of connecting to your own perfection. This can also be thought of the return to oneness. To feel more spiritually connected, consider running this frequency. So it's very likely that meditation and all of the sort of the turning inward for your spiritual strength has led you to be able to overcome these obstacles. It's an immense amount of courage just to be able to say no to those doctors and not come back for the procedure when in your heart of hearts and your intuition, you felt that that was the right thing to do. So the energy field has chosen that 963. It means that the highest experience for herself is that turning within, really connecting to her own perfection. And I must say, you must be a wonderful source of inspiration to everybody around you in your community who's watching you do this. So you've had to turn that energy inward to really find that strength to do what you're doing, which is really wonderful. So the energy field also wants to work on the glucagon, which is about the blood sugar regulation. This brings the blood sugar up, which is interesting. Wants to work or address those advanced glycation end products that we talked about. Boron is another mineral that can help with blood sugar. So we saw boron, vanadium, chromium, parathyroid hormone. Whoa, look at all of these are all hitting the high notes here. So we're also want to get to that flower essence and talk about that. Then the Nogiers are also in your mastery guide. These are coherent frequencies that chime the energy field into alignment. And the one that she's resonating with is Nogier D, which is 2,336 hertz. Frequency D helps to balance both sides of the brain. May also help to reduce and handle stress. So she did mention that she felt stressed, but the Nogier D helps to release, past trauma, just like rapid eye therapy. When you're sleeping, you're trying to do that, but it can also help her to integrate all of this new information that she's taking in, left and right, left and right, left, right side of the brain. You really get things into long-term memory when you've processed them through the left and right side of the brain. It's part of assimilation. Blood sugar regulation, esophagus, insulin resistance, the stomach. So let's talk about Century and what Century is all about. The essential oils contain an emotional lesson, a life lesson the person is working with, and they also provide the energy to release that wound or that piece. So they're the door that the person can step through in order to to really assimilate. Any illness is, you know, a life lesson, something that we're asking to learn. When we get the life lesson, often the illness or the physical issue that we're dealing with will disappear. So there's something she had to overcome, maybe some sort of self-sabotage in order to eat better, to stop the alcohol. She had to realize a greater place within herself. So Century is the putting your foot down essence. These are kind, gentle people who are over anxious to serve others. They overtax their strength in their endeavors. Their wish so grows upon them. This is from Dr. Edward Bach. This is the original interpretation of the essence. Their wish so grows upon them that they become more servants than willing helpers. Their good nature leads them to do far more than their share of the work, and in so doing, they may neglect their own particular mission in life. This essence is needed when the person gives so much but forgets or forgoes the act of self-nourishing. This really comes up a lot for the healers that join us every week, because a lot of you really have this in common. So again, this essence is needed when the person gives so much but forgets or forgoes the act of self-nourishing. The discovery in entraining the energy of Century is taking the time to nourish yourself and to allows you to serve others from a place of having something nourishing to ultimately authentically share with others. Century is a plant comprised of bitters known to be good for digestion. So it's known to be good for bitters. Often that bitter is really good for gallbladder stuff, you guys. So you may want to look into bitters like gentian, which are very, very good. We have bitter receptors not just in our tongue, but in the gallbladder. And bitter is very good for blood sugar. So it's like sometimes whatever is bitter in taste helps the body to experience sweetness, whereas an excess of sweetness in our body, on the tongue, actually creates bitterness, the bitterness of illness, of ill health. So that a little bitter every day is a good thing. For harmonizing, use Century and Stomach 40. So we're going to incorporate Stomach 40, but the stomach organ came up, and it's very likely if we tested the stomach meridian, it would also come up. So there's an acupuncture point called Stomach 40. This is the next teaching piece that I'm going to be doing, is connecting those flower essences to the meridians and some of the meridian points. The meridian points related to the flower essence are like a key that unlocks something really, really powerful. It opens a door in conjunction with the flower essence for sort of a potentiated effect, a really wonderful effect in learning the lesson defined by the flower essence. So for harmonizing, use Century Stomach 40. The point connects the spleen meridian to the stomach meridian. It turns out that when stomach and spleen work together, you're more able to assist others in a way that does not automatically mean you become depleted. So it's really about, instead of giving all of your energy, allowing the energy to flow through you. So just a whole lot of wonderful things. We also have rock water. Let's do harmonizing for 1 minute, and we can briefly look at rock water as well. Okay, so let's briefly check in with Tawe and see how this information is landing. Okay, Karen, does some of this information resonate for Tawe?
Yeah, it does.
She keeps going, that's it, yes it is.
Okay,
and she
good.
just did a blood sugar too.
What's that?
You just actually did a blood sugar test while she was here too.
Oh, okay. Was there anything interesting?
It was good. It was 7.5.
Oh, you can test hemoglobin A1C right there? Was it, or no, 7.5 is the Canadian. Do you know what it is in terms of American?
I don't know.
I forget the conversion over, but yeah,
okay.
it's within range. Not that I go by the ranges they use, but
right.
So she's saying the emotional stuff that she was dealing with, and you can speak to what you were.
Yeah, all that emotional stuff you were talking about. I feel like I'm helping everybody else and draining myself.
So it was really appropriate, apropos for where you are.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have time for myself because everybody else comes first.
Okay, so it really, really read in that truth. So this will be a really powerful frequency for us to run for you. And that's really the benefit of the program is it's a truth teller. It really helps us to come to these new conclusions by reflecting the truth within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Tawi, let's you and I stay in touch as you continue your journey with the genius and see if it can benefit you and the people around you in a way that can help you not to drain your energy, but really just feel a lot more ease in helping others.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
And I think she'd make a great practitioner. She's got a really great foundation and stuff too, and especially up here, with the tribal people and stuff too, and with your mom and with, the Cree tribes up here. She's got a great, stepping stone and springboard with this, especially with you as a practitioner, maybe.
Yes, yes, we have a practitioner program that makes that entirely possible. You could be really greatly benefiting the people around you in a way that I think you'll find really enjoyable and uplifting, and it won't bring you down as much because you have the support of the genius to sort of reflect that information to them, and when they see it, they also become transformed.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
All
It's
right. All right. I'll catch up with you guys soon, okay?
thank you.
Well, thank you, Karen, for bringing this case to our attention. Well, in 1 minute, she actually went all the way over 50%, and it said your client has responded positively. Let's see if there's been any shift in the energy field, in the aura. Go ahead and do a quick analysis. I really enjoy looking at the aura as it begins to shift and change with the different harmonizing frequencies. Remember, we're sending subtle frequencies to consciousness in order to inspire her to change. And just learning and knowing some of the different pieces will be really helpful. So this is after just 1 minute, just 1 minute of harmonizing, you guys. Let's go back to the pictures overall, and let's just look at the beautiful subtle change of almost like the clouds clearing. So let's go ahead and let's look at, this was our first picture, and we can see, it's probably harder to see on the video, but we're seeing sort of some gray here and some density, and you can't see it here, but there's a lot of gray here. I'm looking at the actual picture, and then gray here, gray here. So then we go to the next one, and a tremendous amount of this is almost like the sun is coming out right here, and this can be angelic forces coming in, but none of the gray. This is a beautiful blue. Actually, there's a really nice harmonizing happening within the chakras, because this is nice and even, and then this is nice and even right around the heart, and then this is all clearing. There's just a little bit of gray, and this is moving out of the energy field on this side. So there's also a beautiful receptivity to the frequencies that is really quite nice. So she's doing just wonderfully with this type of energetic work. Really, really impressed how we continue to work on the wonderful things that you're working on in terms of making your body more healthy. So keep up the wonderful work, and let's keep in touch. Let's go now to Angie. Angie wanted us to work on her. So Angie, I think we need okay, we've got your information. So let's just turn off the camera for 1 second. And so just you're not going to see that just because I need to enter her information. So really, really great to incorporate those essences, you guys. When people hear you read the essence to them, or if you read it for yourself, you begin to discharge, you begin to release a lot of that stuff. Part of healing is being understood or coming to new conclusions, coming to a new understanding within yourself. That is healing within itself. You don't even have to push the button. It's that a lot is happening even just in that recognition. And that's why even 1 minute of harmonizing can be so wonderful. And you don't have to be a doctor to get benefit from that. Anyone can go to my mastery guide and start looking those up and start learning those essences, and you will be just as powerful. You guys, there's a little button that's coming up inside the Genius, and you're going to see it, and it's going to say, do you wish to continue as female? So there was a weird thing that was happening, a bug within the program that was switching all the female clients to male. and you'd have to go back and recorrect it every time you went into a session. They weren't able to totally overcome the bug, so what the developer did is he has a selection there. Since about 80% of our user base is female, it's going to say, do you want to continue as female? And that will sort of lock in that client as being set to female, and it will not switch back. So go ahead, and when it says, do you wish to continue as female? If it's a female client, then obviously choose yes, and that will sort of lock it in so you don't have to keep resetting it, which was a bit of a project. So Angie, I don't know if we have a microphone for you. Let's see if we do. Oh, you're on twice. Oh goodness, so which one is it? Let's see if it's this one. Okay, Angie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Well, so nice to connect with you directly.
Yes, it is. I'm glad to be on.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and record your voice. And what you do for the voice recording, as you have the Genius, you kind of know, is to say your name, and then, if it's going to be recorded, so if you only want to give your first name, just say your first name. The system knows your last name. It's okay. And then you could just say A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U until the 15 seconds is up. You ready?
Ready.
And I'll start recording in 3, 2, 1. I am recording.
Angie, A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I. Okay.
Okay, excellent. And tell us a little bit about what you'd like to transform or change.
Okay, I've had a lot of emotional issues because of my daughter's health for probably 6, 7 years. They're adopted, and one especially has an attachment disorder. And I find in using the Genius, I'm practicing on me before I try it on her and her sister. It's coming up with a lot of urinary issues, digestive issues, emotional issues, those three. Basically, there's others, but those are the main three.
So say it one more time. Emotional.
Emotional, digestive, and urinary.
Oh, and is that what is that not just what comes up, but what you're dealing with, what you're trying to overcome?
Yes, I'm connecting with those three because that's what I feel I'm dealing with most.
Okay, and is there some particular digestive upset or issue?
No, it just comes up low. I think
okay.
low, and then
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I just don't want to miss the obvious. What I hear is that your main issue has been more on the functional level, like just trying to get your energy back, trying to get your digestion back, maybe whatever it is, the pieces, because your main issue is like not like thank goodness and thanks to higher consciousness and God and Goddess that you're not dealing with a major health piece, but you are trying to overcome like some past stress that was caused by serious stress trying to help your children.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel I've aged a lot.
Okay, so let's get you anti-aging. Let's get you let's get you harmonizing. Okay, let me look things over and we'll come back and talk to you in a bit, okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's perfect. Okay, that's great. So she's digestive, urinary. She said some of that stuff keeps coming up. Well, we do see glands. Let's go ahead and peek at what's going on with glands. And thanks you guys for the wonderful cases today. We don't have too much time. We may go a couple minutes over. Pineal, meditation, yoga, those two good things. Even if you just started sitting for 5 minutes in the morning, that could be helpful. Thymus only mild. So the pituitary was what was maybe causing this to be blue and really catch our attention. And mild adrenal. She may have done some harmonizing for herself already. Before we go any further, let's go ahead and just peek at that aura, which is body, mind. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and peek at that. So she said some urinary, digestive. So I think mostly stress caused, right? Sometimes parents are only as happy as is it just their children in general? Okay, so she's popping out ahead of us. She's already pulling in that wonderful energy, and she has the Genius, so she's very likely been working on herself. So there's maybe some density here, a little bit over here, something she's really trying to shift and change. So just a beautiful aura. Okay, so let's go back to, we've got brain anatomy. I like to look at some of these blues and reds if they seem to merit that. Frontal lobe, that can be caused by stress. Something with the brain stem, not really clear what it is, but let's just harmonize it. And it says herbs, minerals, organs. So she did say something, I think, about the organs, the stomach maybe. So let's go ahead and look at that. Skin can often be, you know, the eliminative pieces, the heart, maybe because just being stressed, the kidney, urinary she talked about, and there's that stomach, so very consistent with what she said. Got some essential oils. She got today's stress. Let's see what's in today's stress. So she's trying, you know, she's sort of in a similar place as Tawi when you think about it. People are always sort of swimming in those same similar energetic circles when we're all brought together. Lymphatic, immune, fungus, pathogens. So definitely something about getting her immune system stronger. Blood sugar is an 11, so there's definitely something to deal with blood sugar. We're not sure what it is, whether it's just functional, more serious, but definitely 11 is very low. This means compressed energy, something pretty active in the field related to that. Some heavy metal toxicity. I don't know if there was any mercury fillings or what you might be exposed to there. Kidneys, some acidity, even though we're in the 210s, that's sort of borderline, so I want to include that. Sort of its quick scan, electrical sensitivities looks a little borderline, so taking breaks from some of those wireless frequencies might be helpful. This is computer monitors. I don't know if you work at or spend time at computer monitors. Because we're kind of short for time, let's go ahead to the solfeggios and then the flower essences. So let's look at the solfeggio tones and see what's coming up for her. I would recommend that you start using the solfeggio tones and flower essences in every harmonizing. I often do the emotions as well. There's not as much to talk about often with the emotions, just for our teaching purposes. So that's why I'm not really covering them specifically. This does say the 528 is really asking to be part of this, the 528 transformation and miracles. So 528 is the transformation and miracles of solfeggio, bringing or entraining that energy into your field. Let's put it up here, and let's also put it over here. All right, so use this for DNA repair and to bring about miracles. So you're looking for miraculous transformation. This is a great frequency for any chronic case, for cancer clients. You know, that might be the aging piece. It might be at the DNA level. So let's go ahead and take care of that. 963, this is the one we talked about. This enhances your experience of connecting to your own perfection. Okay, can be thought of as a return to oneness. To feel more spiritually connected, consider running this frequency. And we can also put it up here. 741, really, really interesting, you guys. Let's put it up here as well. And we're going to put it down here too. 741 is awakening intuition. Use this for solving problems, discovering innovative solutions, and increasing creative self-expressions. She may be have been so wrapped up in those kids that she hasn't gone into her own creative expression. 741 is amazing in that it can assist in cleansing the cell of toxins. So 741 is good for detox. It can assist in cleansing the cell of toxins, 741. Use 741 for clearing the effect of EMF. So I suspect EMF might be more of an issue than we even saw today in the scan. Use 741 intentionally to increase your power of self-expression. So she sort of climbs out of problem solving for the kids and climbs more back into her own self, her own self-expression, who she is as a being. All of that is very active. So now let's look at those flower essences, and then we'll get right into progressive insights. Then we'll go back and take a look at the aura itself. So when we get our flower essences, we're going to include all the reds and all the blues. We're going to go all the way down to 600, and we're going to include everything below 200. Now, you guys, if you're busy, you don't need to do all of it. It's just by getting the broadest range you're allowing universal consciousness, you're allowing that person's energy field to say, this is the one that I resonate with the most. This area is our area of probability, that these things have the most probability to be very resonant for this person. Another approach that you could take is you could do the one on the top, the one on the bottom. It's very likely that the one on the top and the one on the bottom, so chicory is probably very likely. There's that Centauri at 80, right? There's that similar resonance. So we just did Centauri, came up so resonant. But let's ask Progressive Insights by going over here, tapping on the play button. We ask, of all of these, which is the one that the energy field is resonating with the most within this tighter algorithm? And there you go. Wow, that is amazing. Because often, you know, when we work in groups, we get that similar energy. So Tawe and Angie have this sort of similar issue going on, and probably many people on today have this similar issue. And I think the 963 was up for Tawe as well. So really an interesting, lovely sort of confirmation that we're all on the right path, the wonderful synchronicity. So Centauri, we're going to read that in just a minute. And then in the importance of the heart above all else is the organ energetically that needs the most attention, that self-nourishment, loving the self, coming back, returning to the self and what the heart's desires are. 963, this is one we just talked about, right? So we talked about for Tawe too, that this was, I think it came up at the top for her. This frequency is about the self-connection. So meditation is on your menu to, even if you just do 5 minutes in the morning, it will be very, very powerful. Okay, all of these lovely high energies want to come and play with the energy field for Angie. Wonderful. Okay, very, very good. Something I once heard numerologically for people whose name starts with A. This is interesting. Numerologically, for people whose name starts with A, they're attracted to many things. They're very they're very eclectic. They can pull from many different areas, but when they focus on one thing and funnel their energy into the focus on one thing, that's when they can shine and things can really begin to emerge and pop and be very successful for them. So let's go back. You guys probably know Centauri really well, and I encourage you guys all to try to learn the basics of the flower essences. So Centauri is the putting your foot down essence, kind, quiet, gentle people who are over anxious to serve others. They overtax. Let me do the harmonizing at the same time so we can feed two birds with one seed while we're doing this. They overtax their strength and endeavors. They wish so. Their wish so grows upon that they become more servants than willing helpers. Their good nature leads them to do more than their fair share of the work, and in so doing, they may neglect their own particular mission in life. This essence is needed when the person gives so much but forgets and forgoes the act of self-nourishing. The discovery and entraining the energy of this essence is that taking time to nourish yourself allows you to serve others from a place of having something nourishing to ultimately authentically share with others. And again, there's that bitters. So bitters, gentian and other bitters in the States, a good company, a fun company to look at is Urban Moonshine, as they have a series of bitters. You can see which one resonates for you. And this is Centauri is the one that connects with stomach 40. So joining that spleen and stomach meridian in a way that energy can flow through you rather than being drained from you. So let's go ahead then and look at the aura. And what we could do is in the quick zap, we can take that Centauri from the flower essences. Let's see where it actually appeared in the range of things. Well, we mentioned it, right? Because it was right here. And then it went whoop right up to the top. So we can put that there. And then we could also find stomach 40 and put it in there. So we're running a little tight for time, but that's how you do that. So you balance for a few minutes in the Progressive Insights, and then you continue your harmonizing up in the quick zap, and you can kind of go back and forth. A few minutes down in the Progressive Insights, a few minutes as you select sort of these juicy frequencies up in the quick zap, and then the quick zap can be what you imprint into your water remedy for the person to take with them, or you can imprint it into a flower, into a essential oil or a flower essence for the person to take with them. So wonderful. Okay, so really bringing more energy in. That's really, really good. We're moving much into the higher, more into the high vibrational colors. We're sort of clearing a lot of the cloudiness. It's an interesting color of the angelic energy coming in. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to be that color. Let's see what we've got. So this was the beginning, kind of interesting. And this is the second one. So all the high vibrational colors coming in. This may be like a silver more than a gray. Somebody had mentioned that the other day. I think that's really so beautiful, beautiful transformation. You guys, one of the things I really want you to take from this today is how many minutes did we harmonize each client for? Really, the bulk of our time was spent in the interpretation and the understanding. And when we got the right frequencies into the main whole tray or the quick zap, that's when all the action happened. I don't want to forget to welcome some of the new people. We're going to go back to Angie in just a second. So hang on, Angie. I'm going to unmute you in just a second. Aida, welcome to you. Edna, so good to have you. Fifi, let's talk. We didn't connect last week. I'd love to talk with you and see how you're doing. You're such a century person as well. This applies to you, doesn't it? And then RD is here. So RD, welcome. Sharon M. Sharon M is here. And of course, Sharon R. from Eugene has joined us. Victoria, a welcome to you. So welcome to everyone who's new to our community, either if you've gotten the app or you haven't. Just welcome. Everybody is welcome here. If you're thinking about getting the Genius, please go to awakentotalhealth.com. That's my website, and I do sales and training of the Genius. So go to awakentotalhealth.com. If you get your Genius through me, then you get me as your customer service person, and I'm really happy to help you in any way. So again, the website is awakentotalhealth.com. And then all of this information will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. So if you go to the Ariel Policano YouTube channel, you can see all of these. Sometimes people tell me they stayed up all night watching many videos of the past weeks that we've done. So if you go to my YouTube channel, people really get into some of the past recording of our classes, and you can check all of them out there. Everybody who's on here will receive my weekly newsletter, so the recording will come through the weekly newsletter as well. Let's go back to Angie and talk to her. Oops, try this one. Here we go. Okay, Angie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So did any of that resonate for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of an introvert and just wanted children for so long, and then they ended up having so many problems that it took a lot out of me, and they still have problems. So they're 20 years old and I'm still working. So yes, the century sounded kind of like me.
Yeah. How are things going with your Genius? How are things? Are you still sort of looking for some things to work on or how to put it all together?
Yes, I'm just trying to understand it. And may I ask one question? I know you
Of
don't have much
course.
time.
No, this is a time for questions. Yeah, go right ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay. So the vibrations, I guess I'm just not trained. The vibrations, they don't have to come through the harness or the wristband. They come through the phone, or like for you doing it for me, how did they come to me? Sorry if this isn't a good question.
No, it's an awesome question. So the quantum biofeedback works in very, plain ways, which is like a mundane way of listening to the tones. And so you get benefit from listening to those beautiful wind chimes and everything that you hear when you're listening to the tones. And you're also receiving them as they are generated from the software into the iPad or the tablet, and then they can come through to the wristbands or to the remedy plate and so forth. But quantum biofeedback is connected to, means that we're connected in algorithms to the Schumann resonance, we're connected to the earth, we're connected to your energy field. So just like we can think of someone and send them energy, or we could even intentionally send them good energy, like in things like Reiki, we know that reaches their energy field no matter where they are on the planet. In the same way, quantum biofeedback works in this mysterious way, where we can send frequencies where they don't even have to hear the tones. They will receive. As Garnett Dupuis, one of the contributors to the genius has said that information is instantly given to consciousness. So we got your name, we got your date of birth, we got your voice. We have a tremendous amount of information about your energetic field. And then also the person who's doing the looking, right? In quantum physics, the viewer changes the field. So as I, with my intention that you receive this energy, oh gosh, I just threw everything off the table here. So my intention is that you receive the energy. With that intention, that even potentiates the uploading of those frequencies to consciousness. So it is mysterious, but the reason it's mysterious is that the rules of the game of how the universe works was never explained to us properly. So we don't always have the context to be able to understand, but it's not because it's mysterious in nature, it's because we don't have the proper understanding of the universe around us. So, Angie, did any of that explanation help you to better understand how people get the frequencies?
Yes, a little. I think I still need to keep working on processing it.
Yeah, keep sending people long distance. And, you know, a lot of the world we've not learned to experience through our own eyes, ears, and sense experience. So much we hear a news report, or we hear a news report about a study, or we have to read, you know, whatever it is that the government is telling us the study says, or whatever. You know, so much is important to experience through our own eyes, ears, sensory experience, consciousness, intuition. So continue to do that as you send and receive the frequencies. It's immensely important, your own personal experience, what your experience as you're receiving these. That's why we have the 14-day trial for people, so we don't have to tell them, they can experience it themselves. Okay, Angie?
Yes, can I ask, how do you send it remotely, not remotely, but how do you send it at a distance?
You just hit the play button, and the play button sends that information to, can you send Reiki to somebody who's in, say, Japan or Australia right now?
I guess you can.
Well, why?
I guess there's these special waves that I don't really understand.
Yeah, it's not really special waves. It's actually that we're all interconnected, and that time is just an illusion and distance is just an illusion. It's just that our consciousness has agreed that, you know, you are in Canada. Are you in Canada, right?
No, I'm in Georgia.
Oh, you're in Georgia. Okay. So you're in Georgia and I'm in Portland, and we've just agreed that those places don't really exist in consciousness. So neither does the separation or the inability for us to send you energy. We can send you energy no matter where you are in the world. It works through the subtle ways that we're connected. If you studied the Indian tradition, the Indian tradition, those ancients taught us that we're connected through nadis, NADIS. The nadis all connect us energetically to each other. So we're all interconnected. We're all one energy. One of the greats, Dranvalo Melchizedek, in the class Awakening the Illumined Heart, he said within the class, the live class that I took with him, he looked around, he said, none of you really exist. He said, there's only one in the room. You know, there's only you in the room, and everything else is just a reflection. It's all just a play, a dance of consciousness that we've agreed to for this three-dimensional experience, but none of it really exists. Time and space as we conceive of them in this three-dimensional consciousness doesn't really exist. So in any moment, we can send you good feelings, good energy. Have you ever been thinking of someone and then the phone rings and they're on the other end of the phone?
My mother.
Yeah, it's because you're connected, especially with loved ones, you're deeply connected in the nadis. So anyone that you have intention that you send this energy to, it will be profound. They will experience profound change, but it's not actual physical waves as we know them. It's the very subtle energy waves that are going to them, which may ultimately be the most powerful.
And do you need their voice to do that?
It will help if you have their voice. It's part of
It'll
even
help.
connecting the
Okay.
nadis when you think about it. And it's also their intention. How much do they want to be assisted?
Mm-hmm.
So I say, yes, the voice engine is there for a reason. When you can get the voice, but you don't need the voice. So Angie, thank you for your
Okay.
questions. I'm going to
Thank you.
need
I
to move on.
appreciate
All
it,
right,
Ariel.
thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's just sort of finalize this and just talk about the 3 pictures here of the aura, and then we'll wind up for the day. If anybody has a burning question, I'll just peek at them, but probably we're going to get ready to finish up here. So we started here for Angie. We proceeded here. We got to here, and then we finalized here. Beautiful, beautiful rays coming in, beautiful angelic rays, a wonderful cleansing going on, a real purifying of the aura. It looks absolutely fantastic. You guys, if you have friends that want to use the Genius or want to use the trial, please direct them to my website, awakentotalhealth.com, and I'd be more than happy to visit with them. We'll have my weekly newsletter coming out this week. And thanks again to Tawe and Angie for being part of our class today. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Take care and be well. Bye-bye for now.